I'm Jacob Seelman.
And I'm Tom Baker.
You're listening to Speed 77 Radio,
powered by Race Chaser Online.
We are your home for motorsports.
Welcome, everyone, to tonight's Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report. I'm Tom Baker. I'll be joined by our producer and co-host, Jacob Seelman of Speed 77 Radio, a little later on in tonight's broadcast. We talk pavement late models and modifieds for a half hour on this show, and boy, do we have a whopper to throw the green flag with for you tonight. This courtesy of last Sunday's Virginia is for Lovers 300 NASCAR late model race at the Martinsville Speedway. Tommy Lemons was declared the winner of arguably the most prestigious event in all of NASCAR late model racing, with young Dylan Bassett finishing in second. Controversy ensued over events which took place in the closing laps of the race that have subsequently left Bassett feeling cheated and Lemons enjoying his prized grandfather clock trophy. We hear from both racers on tonight's broadcast, and let's start right away with tonight's race winner. Here is Tommy Lemons.
Tommy, you picked up a huge win over the weekend in the Virginias for Lovers 300 at Martinsville. Talk a little bit about what it means, first of all, to win that event.
Yeah, it was great to get in victory lane there Sunday, and it was just a great team effort. Just still words can't put how we feel. You know, it was just career or a race of a lifetime, really. Everybody circles Martinsville the year before. So as soon as you leave, you've already got it circled on the calendar for next year that you want to go back and you want to do better. And luckily, we were able to get a victory there.
Yeah, it definitely, it's a very hard race to win. 89 cars entered the event, and just a variety of youth and veteran experience in that event. And of course, it's never Martinsville without a little bit of controversy, and certainly seems to be some controversy about the last restart. I know that Dylan Bassett and some others, and we're going to talk to Dylan here shortly, but Dylan is pretty adamant about the fact that he felt like you jumped it. Do you want to address that issue a little bit and talk about kind of the restart from your point of view?
Yeah, there's no problem there. I honestly, I felt like Dylan started, and then I don't know what happened, and he kind of went out of sight, and I lifted to try to give it back to him, and then by this time I'm getting pushed from behind from the outside line, and it was just, once I lifted and tried to give it back to him, and I never seen him come back. So, at that point it was time to go and let NASCAR make their call, and, but they made it in my favor. Also, I don't feel like I really jumped him. It's just part of racing, $25,000 on the line with 2 laps to go. I think anybody in my situation would have done what I done, and just one of those racing deals. Somebody's always going to be on the opposite end and feel the opposite way, but it's just, it kind of is what it is. I hate it that they feel like I cheated them, but there again, I had to do what I had to do to get the win.
Yeah, you only get so many chances to be in a situation like that,
Right. Yeah, that was my 10th attempt at winning at Martinsville, and that's the closest we came to having a shot at it, and just had to seize the opportunity and get all we could. And luckily, it worked in our favor.
Well, I know that Martinsville is not the only win you've had, but certainly the biggest. Talk a little bit very quickly for those in our audience who are not real familiar with you. Talk a little bit about your season and just kind of give us a little brief history.
I think Sunday was our 46th race of the year.
Wow.
won 5, and all of them but one had came with either Deke or Lee in them, and that were running against the best in the country all year long. And as far as the national deal, I think we finished 7th, and if you look at it and break it down by classes or whatever, we were the third late model guy in line there, and it's just pretty special to know that we run every race against those 2 guys, and they finished 1-2, and we were lucky enough to be able to beat them a few times this year, and just all in all, it's been a pretty good season for us.
And of course, you've been around racing, as you said. This is your 10th attempt at Martinsville. Did you start in the late models? How did you start racing?
I actually started kart racing in the late 90s. I think 99 might have been my first year. Running a few karts until I was 16, and jumped straight into a late model from karts. So
that's a big jump.
Pretty big, yes, sir. Pretty big jump. Just always knew that I wanted a late model race, and hopefully one day get to the point where I could move on up. Unfortunately, that hasn't happened, but there's still a little bit of time left. I'm young, but I'm old in a sense too. The way the racing deal's going, if you're not 14 or 15, nobody's looking at you anymore. So, but we've had a pretty good year this year. Nothing to hang our heads on.
Definitely not. And I know you haven't done it alone, so I want to give you a chance to give some shout-outs to those who deserve them.
Yeah, big shout-out to all my crew, and my crew chief, Brandon Davis. He works his tail off every week, every day, and then got to thank my dad and Women's Backhoe for all their support. They fund most of all of our efforts. Robinwood Enterprise, Hedgecock Racing, JRI Shocks. This past weekend we had on a new sponsor, Freaker USA. Everybody check out their website, freakerusa.com, and just see if you like their product. It's a great little product, and hopefully it'll start taking off here, and hopefully we'll be a part of it.
Well, congratulations, Tommy, on a huge win. I would have to say that you probably got a couple of races left this year anyway. What's left on your schedule?
Thanks again for the congratulations. Yeah, we've got a Caraway this coming weekend, and then the Myrtle Beach Thanksgiving Classic and the Southern National Thanksgiving Day or Thanksgiving weekend race. So we got a few races left, and hopefully pick up a few more wins.
3 big races, and you're going into it with some momentum. And again, congratulations on the run. That is Tommy Lemons, and we're going to hear from second place finisher Dylan Bassett. When we return, you are listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Speed 77 Radio and Race Chaser Online. For 17 years, Stock Car Steel has been a leading material supplier to the racing industry. We're proud they're a motorsports content partner here at Race Chaser Online. The biggest names in NASCAR trust Stock Car Steel for raw materials such as carbon steel, chrome moly, DOM, aluminum, plastics, and much more. You can't build a race car without the basic materials, and Stock Car Steel is the place to get them. Don't forget to also visit Stock Car Steel's sister company, SRI Supplies, for racing and industry. SRI is the place to go for all your shop supply needs. Nuts, bolts, rivets, tapes, adhesives, cutting tools, chemicals, body shop supplies, paint shop supplies, lubricants, and more. A well-stocked race shop is a winning race shop, and the path to winning begins with 3 letters, SRI. For more information, visit stockcarsteel.com or SRI-supplies.com. Check them both out on Facebook or call them toll-free at 1-888-752-7272, 1-888-752-7272.
Maybe you know who we are.
But do you know who we really are?
We're ladies.
And not so gentlemen.
We're a mad scientist.
We're outlaws turned heroes.
We're part athlete.
Part astronaut.
And all show off. We're a flash mob. We're bigger than most towns. We're everything.
You never expect.
Slammed into the jet drop.
We're always testing the limits and each other.
We're the unknown coming at you at 200 miles per hour.
We're fire, we're smoke.
Nerves colliding with steel.
We're the loudest party on earth.
We live at the corner of Mayhem and Maine.
Oh no! They crossed the line, and guess who wins the race?
Where anything can happen. It usually does.
The odds of a young girl being discovered by an industry insider while singing to herself pumping gas? 1 in 300 million. The odds of the daughter of a clergyman from Severn, Maryland spending 11 weeks at number 1 on the U.S. singles charts? 1 in 19 million. The odds of going on to win 6 Grammy Awards? 1 in 1.4 million. The odds of selling over 40 million records? 1 in 800,000. The odds of this musician and performer having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 110. I'm Toni Braxton, and I encourage you to learn the signs of autism at autismspeaks.org. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference. Autism Speaks. It's time to listen. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
I'm Jacob Seelman.
And I'm Tom Baker.
You're listening to Speed 77 Radio,
powered by Race Chaser Online.
We are your home for motorsports.
Welcome back to tonight's Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show. We continue our coverage of the controversial finish from this past Sunday's Virginia Is for Lovers 300 at the Martinsville Speedway now by hearing from young Dylan Bassett. Bassett, who has taken the UARA Stars Late Model Series by storm this year, finished second at Martinsville but walked away from the event feeling like he was cheated by NASCAR officials out of the win. Let's listen to what Dylan had to say about the events of the race's closing laps.
Okay, Dylan, Martinsville on Sunday, controversy, Virginia Is for Lovers 300. There's always some controversy at Martinsville. Somebody or many bodies always walk away frustrated, upset, disappointed, and wanting to kick somebody else's butt. In your case, it was a restart deal that you really kind of feel like cost you the win. Tell us the scenario and walk us through exactly what happened.
Well, we had a mandatory caution with 10 to go, like they do every year. And the caution took the whole 10 laps to clear the track, whatever. So Lynn Carroll said, this will be our only attempt at a green-white checkered because it was getting dark outside and Martinsville has no light. So we went green, and me and Lee were door to door, and me and him have actually been racing for the 8 or 10 laps prior to this caution, beating and banging on each other, just hard short track racing. And we went into one, and Deep McCaskill got into Lee and spun him around, and I came out the leader, and it seemed like as soon as Lynn seen me come out in the lead, he came over the radio and said, no, we're going to do one more attempt at a green-white checkered.
So hold on a second then, Sparkplug. Basically what you're saying is you're implying here that you feel like perhaps Lynn Carroll didn't like the fact that you were out front?
Basically, because there's been 2 or 3 people who came up to my dad that was on NASCAR's channel and told my dad the same exact story from different people that didn't even know each other, that Lynn came over the radio before they dropped the rag on the first restart and told them that this was the last restart, no matter the result. And then as soon as I came out of the lead out of turn 2, he hurried up and got on the radio and said, we're doing it again. So I took it as Lynn wasn't too happy that we got the lead. I don't know if it was because William got wrecked or what, but the way I took it, he really didn't want me to be the leader at the end of that restart.
Well, it could have been more just that Pulliam got wrecked. That's the national champion there. He might not have liked what Deke did. But at any rate, for whatever reason, decided to call a second attempt at a green-white checker. So talk about this one, because this is the one that really is kind of at the heart of your dissatisfaction.
Well, we lined up, and Dennis Setzer was actually second, and he was supposed to line up on the outside of me. Well, somehow Tommy Lemons lined up on the outside of me, and Dennis was actually lined up third or fourth. I don't really know exactly. And we came out of fourth, and I was still on the concrete when Tommy Lemons went, and that was about 6 car lengths before the restart box. And I was already in third position before we even got to the restart box. And, I hadn't even taken off yet. And Lane Carroll didn't throw a yellow flag, didn't throw a black flag, or didn't do anything. And then after the race, my spotter raised his hand in the driver's meeting and asked Lane Carroll himself, does the leader have to be the first car across the stripe? And Lane Carroll said, yes, the leader has to be the first one across the stripe, or if not, they have to give the spot back out of 2. If not, the driver's black flag. Well, I got back to second out of 2, and Tommy was already 6 car lengths ahead of me, and Lane Carroll did nothing about it.
Okay, so basically, to interpret that, Lynn Carroll said that the leader has to be first to the stripe, or he has to give it back out of 2. You're saying that Tommy jumped the start, was already ahead of you. You were already third, in fact, before you got to the restart box. You were able to pick off the second place car and get back to second, but you're saying that Tommy should have given you the lead back because you were actually because he jumped the start, he should have given the spot back.
Correct, because second and fourth were the only 2 cars that went on the restart, and if I would have missed the shift, I'm pretty sure about 6 cars on the outside of me would have went too, but only 2 of them went, so that just really doesn't make sense to me. And then, in tech, Lynn Carroll wants to say that I spun the tires, and that's the only reason Tommy got in front of me. But then when he was checking my car, he also took my tap and confiscated it and told us we had traction control, which also doesn't make sense to me because if I had traction control, I would not be able to spin the tire on a restart.
Well, that would seem. That's interesting. What would Martinsville be without a little controversy?
The way I've taken all this, it really seems like Lynn Carroll did not want me to win. I mean, this is me looking at it because he despised UARA. I've heard it from several people, and he's talked several UARA drivers out of running UARA to come run NASCAR races. And from the way I've taken it, he did not want a UARA driver or a Ford motor to win his NASCAR race. And he did everything possible he could do to prevent that from happening.
Interesting. Well, once again, the opinion of Dylan Bassett.
Oh boy, it seems that the fans who attended the race on Sunday, regardless of which driver's side you were on when it was over, were all in agreement that this is exactly what makes the Virginia Is for Lovers 300 one of the most exciting races of the season. NASCAR officials reviewed the final laps after the race was over and declared Lemons the winner in a race that is known for controversial endings. A whopping 89 cars entered the event. Speaking of Bassett, however, let's bring in our producer and co-host, Jacob Seelman, to talk a little bit about the UARA Stars Series and their upcoming race. Jacob, Bassett may not have come home with the top prize at Martinsville, but he's been certainly dominating the UARA Stars Series this year, hasn't he?
That he has, Tom. Dylan has been on fire the last couple of months in the UARA Stars Tour. He's won the last 3 consecutive races dating back to about mid-July. He leads the points now with, right now, 3 races scheduled remaining on the tour here in the month of October by 47 points over second place Garrett Campbell, and in third place, still in the title hunt, 75 back, the defending UARA champion Travis Swaim. UARA Stars going to make their visit to Newport Speedway this Saturday, racing at 7 p.m. local time for that event. So if you're in the area, head to Newport. The Stars will be back in action, and Dylan Bassett will actually be going for 4 consecutive wins on the tour, despite missing out on the Martinsville grandfather clock.
All right, so Dylan and the Bassett Racing Camp heads over to Newport to race in the UARA Stars Series, and I suspect that the chatter about the controversy at Martinsville will continue to live on for quite a while as we go in and through the fall racing season. We will be back with more of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report. We're going to switch to Pass South Super Series late models and talk with Dillon Motor Speedway winner Daniel Hemrick when we return. You're listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Show on Speed 77 Radio and Race Chaser Online. Stay with us.
For 17 years, Stock Car Steel has been a leading material supplier to the racing industry. We're proud they're a motorsports content partner here at Race Chaser Online. The biggest names in NASCAR trust Stock Car Steel for raw materials such as carbon steel, chrome moly, DOM, aluminum, plastics, and much more. You can't build a race car without the basic materials, and Stock Car Steel is the place to get them. Don't forget to also visit Stock Car Steel's sister company, SRI Supplies, for racing and industry. SRI is the place to go for all your shop supply needs. Nuts, bolts, rivets, tapes, adhesives, cutting tools, chemicals, body shop supplies, paint shop supplies, lubricants, and more. A well-stocked race shop is a winning race shop, and the path to winning begins with 3 letters, SRI. For more information, visit stockcarsteel.com or SRI-supplies.com. Check them both out on Facebook or call them toll-free at 1-888-752-7272, 1-888-752-7272.
For every turn, a twist. For every start, an untimely finish. For every win, someone who loses it. For every number, a nation. For every celebration, a brawl. For every split second, years of work. For every heaven, a hell. For every good old boy, a good old girl. For every curse, a prayer. For every ounce of order, a jug of chaos. For every twist, there's a turn.
I'm Jacob Seelman.
And I'm Tom Baker.
You're listening to Speed 77 Radio,
powered by Race Chaser Online.
We are your home for motorsports.
Welcome back to Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report. We move now from NASCAR late models to Pass South Super late models and Dillon Motor Speedway, and once again find Daniel Hemrick's name adorning the winner's check. Hemrick, who has already wrapped up a championship in Legends car racing and is very close to at least one more championship in the Sunoco Southern Super Series, dropped by Dillon the Carswell Motorsports 98 and promptly gave the team their first ever Pass Series win. We caught up with Daniel on his way to Indiana to race in this weekend's famed Winchester 400. Here's what Daniel had to say about his run at Dillon Motor Speedway.
Daniel, thanks for joining us on the show here tonight. And I know you won a big one again this past weekend, and it was in typical hot shoe fashion. And let's just make it a late race pass and do the backflip and walk out of there the hero once again. Talk a little bit about that run.
It was a great weekend in Dillon, South Carolina. It was cool to take Jake and Deanna Carswell back to victory lane in Dillon, considering that was their first pass win ever back in 08. So it was cool to get them back in victory lane at the racetrack that meant so much to them, and obviously now it means a lot to me too.
Well, talk a little bit about the race itself, because it sounded like just a tremendous finish.
It was a heck of a race. We started out, we didn't really get the good redraw. We started ninth after setting on the pole, and not that put us behind, but we had a little bit of ground to make up, so we rode around for a little while, and we're able to have tires and manage stuff as good as we could to have it at the end. And luckily we had done that a little better than most. And it was cool to line up next to Jay Fogman. We run side by side there the last 15 laps.
Yeah, Jay's been racing probably a lot longer than you've been alive, actually, Daniel.
Yeah, it was. I actually grew up watching Jay race the Hoosier Pro Cup Series at Concord and local short tracks all over the country. So it was neat to get to line up like against somebody you watch, turn, you've watched turn more laps than I've ever ran probably. So it was an honor to, like I said, line up next to him and duke it out for the win.
Well, you've really, that kind of gets me to thinking that between the fact that you've run and been successful in modifieds up in the Northeast where it's modified country, let's just be fair about it, and the fact that you've been successful numerous times in late model shows in the Southeast and in the Midwest where it's late model country, you've really had quite the young career on the short tracks. You've done about everything you can do. However, you've got another challenge coming up this weekend with the Winchester 400.
Oh yeah. I've been very fortunate throughout my career so far, but yeah, this weekend is going to be a big one for us. Entire Cars and Motorsports team is really excited about it. I had to make the tow up to run the 400, and everybody knows the background of such a prestigious race, and everybody's ultimate goal is to carry the rifle home on Sunday night. So that's what we're going for. We're really looking forward to giving it a shot.
You've got the chance to carry the rifle home on Sunday night, and then I'm assuming anyway that you're going to be in Nashville for the big goings-on after that, and of course that's another great big race to win the All-American race.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of stuff on the line at the All-American race. One, you're going to such a great racetrack. We always love going there, and also with the Southern Super Series Point Championship on the line between myself and Bubba Pollard. It's going to come down to the wire. I really believe that we're both going to have really fast cars, and we did back in the first race to start off the Southern Super Series season. So I'm really excited to see how it turns out. If nothing else, I'm just proud of the way everybody's worked this year together. We've had an unreal year, and like I said, we're just hopefully we can build on it and finish out with a couple big wins here late in the season.
Well, with all of this success, I mean, you've won in the CRA Series, you've won in the Southern Super Series, you've won in the Pass Series, you've won, in just about every major late model series that there is. Certainly, I know that you talked to us before, and you've got some things in the works for next year. I surely hope all of this is leading in a good direction for you to step up for 2014.
Yeah, we've got some actually really big stuff that are really kind of snowballing right now as we speak. Hopefully we'll be able to let everybody know something here in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's going to be really exciting. And, like I said, it's been so fortunate to be put in so many different great situations throughout my career. And hopefully we're not even close to over. We're just getting started.
Well, congratulations on the success so far, on the win at Dillon, and certainly we wish you the best this coming weekend at Winchester, and who knows, maybe we'll be here on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report talking to you about that victory coming up in a week or so.
Oh, so I appreciate having me.
That is Daniel Hemmerich, and we are going to throw the caution flag. When we come back, we'll have more as we continue through this fastest 30 minutes in motorsports on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report, Race Chaser Online, and Speed 77 Radio. We'll be right back. For 17 years, Stock Car Steel has been a leading material supplier to the racing industry. We're proud they're a motorsports content partner here at Race Chaser Online. The biggest names in NASCAR trust Stock Car Steel for raw materials such as carbon steel, chrome moly, DOM, aluminum, plastics, and much more. You can't build a race car without the basic materials, and Stock Car Steel is the place to get them. Don't forget to also visit Stock Car Steel's sister company, SRI Supplies, for racing and industry. SRI is the place to go for all your shop supply needs. Nuts, bolts, rivets, tapes, adhesives, cutting tools, chemicals, body shop supplies, paint shop supplies, lubricants, and more. A well-stocked race shop is a winning race shop, and the path to winning begins with 3 letters, SRI. For more information, visit stockcarsteel.com or SRI-supplies.com. Check them both out on Facebook or call them toll-free at 1-888-752-7272, 1-888-752-7272.
I'm Jacob Seelman.
And I'm Tom Baker.
You're listening to Speed 77 Radio,
powered by Race Chaser Online.
We are your home for motorsports.
That will bring out the checkered flag on tonight's Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report. Our show is a Speed 77 Radio Race Chaser Online production and can be heard in podcast form beginning about 24 hours after this broadcast by visiting Race Chaser Online's YouTube channel. Special thanks to Jacob Seelman of Speed 77 Radio, as well as to the folks at Stock Car Steel SRI Supplies for making tonight's show possible. Don't forget, you can join Jacob and I right back here on Tuesday nights beginning at 7 o'clock Eastern for the Motorsports Madness Show, where we talk racing of all kinds, fight, argue, have live interviews, and otherwise just have a great time. Until then, I'm Tom Baker, inviting you to check out StockCarSteel.com and SRI-supplies.com for all your racing needs. For all the news of the day in motorsports, your first choice for short track news and driver interviews on the web is Speed 77 Radio and RaceChaserOnline.com. So long, everyone, and have a safe racing weekend.